Yo, what is up, Kings? I am going to record this again. I actually recorded this before, but this time I'm just going to delve right into it. But there was actually a few other things that I wanted to touch upon that the first go around I did not. So without further ado, let's get into this. So the topic of the video is essentially the lie that is the boss bitch, okay? So, a lot of quote-unquote boss babes, if they ever heard this, would of course say that this is being recorded out of jealousy. But just hear me out. I personally have a ton of anecdotal experience that what you see from fresh and fit girls, from whatever podcast girls, is not the status quo, okay? You have to remember that these girls that go on Fresh and Fit and the whatever podcast, these girls are, number one, they're very young, and most of them are at their peak beauty, if not just coming out of it, okay? And so therefore, that is a very important qualifier, because any man that's being honest knows that from their own experience and what they've seen with their own two eyes, that attractive women are given perks that nobody else is given. I would even say average to slightly below average women receive perks that most men will not receive. And as I said, this is an important qualifier. And it's easy, and believe me, I may have fallen victim to this myself. It's easy to watch these podcasts and think, well, shit, maybe these girls actually can have it all. Because one common thing that you'll hear, especially Myron Gaines, argue with these modern women about is they will have all of these expectations and they'll have all these things that they're still wanting to have. They expect to be a modern woman, having a career and whatever time and energy is required to do those things, while also, and then on top of that, because they're in the workforce, becoming this super masculine, super manly female, aggressive female. You commonly see this in certain demographics of women. But they still want, if not more so than they otherwise would have, they still want a man that makes $100,000 and a man that has a six-pack and is above 6 feet. Now they'll kind of tiptoe around it and dance around it because women are politically correct and they go with whatever the status quo is by and large, or whatever the most commonly held belief is in the room. But women, because of their hypergamous nature, will, when they reach certain pinnacles within their career or reach a certain level of financials, they will want a certain level of man even more so because they're hypergamous. They want a man that's at their level or above them, better than them, more qualified, more talented than them. That is just woman 101, okay? And so what happens is when these women, when they inch higher in the workforce, their expectations of the opposite sex raise as well. But of course, men don't view women in the same way. Men don't find the fact that a woman makes $100,000 to be attractive like she would. As Myron Gaines always says, attraction is not symmetrical, it's asymmetrical. So you have this fact that you'll see from the Fresh and Fit and the whatever podcast, And then you add another qualifier, which is that a lot of these women that go on these shows don't make money because they're super skilled or super intelligent or have some redeemable characteristic, or a characteristic that if anybody else in the world had, they would not be able to make money. So in other words, they're able to capitalize on the fact that they're a woman, and number two, that they're attractive, okay? Men in society and women that are not attractive are not able to capitalize on that. That is not a talent that if you were to give to anybody else, they would be able to capitalize on. Now, maybe I suppose you can make the case that if anybody else was also attractive, they would make money too. I guess that'd be true for women. But what I'm getting at, but definitely not for men. Even men that are attractive can only capitalize on it so much. But what I'm getting at is these women that make money from OnlyFans or from their sexuality, that's a short-term way that they are able to make money. They don't have, super amazing business skills. They didn't invent something. They didn't create an amazing app, or, they're not some IT person. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? There are some women that have worked in a certain field and they just so happen to also be attractive, and then they start doing OnlyFans, and then, but that's not the rule, okay? The rule is it's some attractive bimbo that. So what I'm getting at is only for so long will they be able to capitalize on this facet of themselves. And so bringing this back to myself, being in leadership positions and even non-leadership positions, I'm here to tell you guys that, and so let me backtrack. So when you see these women, as I have, you think to yourself, holy shit. Because the whole reason why I went into the hypergamous aspect is to say that no matter what happens, these women, by and large, still want it all. They still expect to have it all, regardless of the sacrifices that they make. And Myron will commonly argue back with these women, no, fast money comes with slow problems. And even if you don't get quote unquote fast money, if you're a modern woman working a ton of hours and things like that, a man that is super successful and a high value man is not going to want to go for you. He's going to want a housewife. He's going to want an attractive mother to his children, by and large. Now, there are some guys that are total fucking idiots, and, of course, they get totally bamboozled by, a Kim Kardashian or something like that. There are exceptions to the rule, don't get me wrong. But by and large, this is not the case. And so they really can't have it all, okay? But they still have the expectations as though they can. And I'm here to tell you that Myron and all these people on the Red Pill channel, they're right. They cannot have it all. I cannot tell you how many women I have seen that are above the age of 50 or even like approaching their middle-aged that are obese, that are marriageless. They might have been married in the past, but of course their hypergamous nature got the best of them and they didn't know any better, and they had this boss bitch mentality, and so they thought they could get a better deal. But of course, what they don't realize is they're only getting older. They're not as young as they once were. Their tits are not as perky as they once were. And they're not going to be able to command the same quality guy, because dating takes time. Okay. And smart men look for particulars when judging a woman to marry. I cannot tell you how many women I have seen that fit this stereotype. And every time, and it's more often than not. So what I'm getting at, and ultimately I've done videos like this in the past. Sorry about the lighting, guys. It's hopefully that's better. It's getting dark where I'm at. So what I'm getting at is, maybe doing this one will be better, is for every young, attractive woman that you see on Fresh and Fit, a non 300 pounder average woman, because in previous times most of these women would just be average women, but because so many women nowadays are obese, it makes them look better than they really are. But for every, just for the sake of argument, attractive woman that you see on Fresh and Fit or whatever podcast, or some YouTuber that has zero substance to their content, but, shows their tits and do, ooh, woo, and they, people tip them money. There are thousands of women that cannot command the short-term benefits that we see on Fresh and Fit and the whatever podcast. That is the norm. The norm is women who end up being 400 pounds overweight or 300 pounds overweight because they were forced to remain in the workforce. But of course, women are not built for the workforce. Women are not built to withstand the stressors and harshness of everyday working life. So what do they end up doing? They end up eating a ton and eating their stress away because they don't have a strong man beside them to nurse them back to health. They end up smoking. They end up doing all of these unhealthy things. And that is the norm, my friends. I promise you, that is the norm. Okay? And then, of course, the other aspect to it, especially if you're dealing with women who were at one time average to above average attractiveness, they have been given everything in life. It's just been handed to them by and large. So when they get out of their peak years and they're no longer handed what they used to be handed so effortlessly, they no longer have any actual skills. They never had to nurture or foster these skills in order to take care of themselves without the attractiveness. That's why I was talking about these attractive women at the beginning, to illustrate, and these women that make money from OnlyStans, to illustrate that they are given a lot of things. A lot of doors are open by way of their attractiveness. But that runs out, fellas and women who come across this, because it's good for you to know as well. It's good for women to know their own nature. That attractiveness runs out. And honestly, even if you are an attractive woman, and you might have some of these avenues available to you, there's still only so many of these spots to go around. So, in reality, I'd say it's maybe like 1 to 5% of women between the age of 20 to 30, I'd say maybe, that are presented with a lot of these opportunities. So don't let what you see on Fresh and Fit and whatever blind you to the truth, to the reality of the situation. That is not the norm, okay? And it's really sad, because I've done videos and talked about this in the past where I see these women and I just think to myself, fuck, they have been told such a lie. The lie that they've been told is sad, because it has made them in a lot of cases childless, marriageless, and lonely. When all they really needed to do was humble themselves slightly and think for one moment logically, have a father in their life that said, no, if you want to have kids, this is the time to do it. Okay? Because again, I know a lot of women on whatever podcast and Fresh and Fit like to say, well, I can just do an in vitro fertilization. Most women can't do that, okay? They don't make the money to do it. So that's not an answer for everybody. That's like a half an answer to a very small percentage of women. So I say all this to say, guys, as I said, the title of the video is the lie of the boss bitch, or the boss babe, because it really is a lie. Very few women actually do, in some way, shape, or form, have this lifestyle. And the women that do, eventually it runs out. And usually, as Myron points out in his videos on his platform, a lot of women stay at the table playing poker or stay at the slot machine when their time's already passed. Their luck already ran out. And by then it's too late, because there is no turning back time. And for this, I you know, on one hand, I feel bad because it is something that as a man, I don't have to deal with. But on the other, it's hard for me to feel bad because a lot of these women are so villainous to most men and so underappreciative to most men. And it's like, you know, it's like, well, fuck, how can I feel sorry for you when, you know, even if you weren't able to keep this for your whole life, this lifestyle, you were able to keep it for, you know, what you were able to have for a very short time was better than what most people will ever experience. So, don't let it fool you guys. Just keep on doing what you do. Just keep on putting in the hard work. For men, as they say, age with time, obviously, but they improve with time. Just keep putting in the hard work, putting in the time, the energy, and the effort, and good things will come. Don't have kids out of wedlock, and you'll be just fine. You know, will women lower their standards? Probably not. Sadly not. But that's okay. You don't need the headache, you know, honestly. Now, as a Christian, I want everybody to be married and have kids and you know, because we do have a massive baby crisis. But just from the standpoint of not looking outwardly and watching some of these channels and getting down and thinking to yourself, I can't compete with that. Don't do that to yourself, because it's false. You can. You just have to stay the course, stay steady, and you'll be just fine. Because whatever these few attractive women are able to do is very short-lived. It's very short-lived. Maybe a handful of them are able to capitalize it and really run the table, but most of them are not able to. Okay? So anyways, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill. I'm running out of light here. Thank you guys so much for watching. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. In facts are feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you, kings. See you guys next time. Christ is King. Peace.